Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6 year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description, and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6 year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level, it's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments, this is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here, so if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right, so in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. Supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is, what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life. Period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, you know, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or, removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense. And because, the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is, what I've put here is it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7, 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere, all right? So it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from, the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see, so 2020 and 2021 we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eyes, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels and greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this is going to be to the fore. Startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music, don't necessarily need it, but, and, you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right, we'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky what the hell is going on. That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter's in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this. And I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble, because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you wonderful Life Path 8 person. Welcome to your 12-month breakdown for your year ahead. Okay, so before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So before we get into those, I want to talk about how this year's energy is likely to affect your life path number on a more sort of personal level, right? And what the combination of these energies might sort of mean for you over the course of 2022. If you don't know what your personal year number is, you can get, there's one of those little things floating around above my head shortly. There will also be a link in the description box below that will show you how to calculate your personal year number. And then there's another link in the description that will show you where to go to find out what the personal year energy is going to be like for you and what to expect. All right, now that being said, let's get back to this. So this is a good year for you to try new things, to try, you know, try new things, try things in a different way. If you're, you know, if there are things that you want to keep in your life, maybe try doing those same things in different ways. This is a year to really think about how you can bring different thoughts, different energies, different expressions of things into your life, and maybe find new ways of doing old things as well. So this is a good year for you to change your hair, change your body, change your mind, change your ideas, change your belief structures. Talk to people, talk to anybody and everybody, especially people that are from foreign cultures, different backgrounds, different religions. Anybody that has a different perspective on life, because it's likely to grow you and to nourish you at a soul level, to really help support you in making decisions that are a bit broader, making decisions that are a bit, you know, a bit broader minded, so that you can broaden your horizons, so that you can broaden your life. It kind of suggests in a lot of ways that you are, I mean, this year, like I said, you know, find ways of changing everything. And this really is a year to get into that new and novel energy. And the more you connect with people that are different, people from overseas, you know, foreign cultures, etc., the more input you have from external sources that are very different from you, the more it's going to enable you to really bring new things into your life, to really bring the spirit of change into your life in some way, shape or form. Now, this is also a very sensual energy as well, the way that this could speak to your personal number. This could be I mean, this year's sensuality and sexuality are going to be heightened and more refined anyway, but for you, it's going to take on more of a primal kind of energy.
I couldn't hear.
Mind your business, Siri. This is going to take on a bit more of a sorry about that. It's going to take on a bit more of a primal energy, right? Nourish the soul through the senses, right? Whether this is through the sense of touch, smell, taste, sound, sight, like find ways that really excite you and speak to your soul through the 5 senses. This is a really good year for you to do that, to tap into the sensual world and the, you know, the material realm through your senses. You get so much more out of it this year. Aromatherapy massage is a really good idea because you're stimulating not only your olfactory senses, but also like the feeling of touch as well, right? So anywhere where you can combine sensory stimulation is wonderful, right? New fabrics, you know, all of that good stuff, right? What about this would be a good time to connect with foreign cultures, foreign lands, distant lands, distant peoples, etc. Be prepared for challenges to your personal status quo this year. So you might find that there's some things that come up this year that really challenge your thoughts, that really challenge your beliefs, that really ask you to ask yourself, do I believe this? And if I say I believe it, more importantly, why, right? So this is going to see maybe some personal paradigm shifts over the course of this year, which could be really exciting. For your blessings, right? So this year you're going to be bold, daring. It really is going to see you really ready for change as well. Maybe whether everybody else is around you is ready for change or not, you're kind of driving it forward. Sorry, I've got that. It's really, really annoying and very distracting. All right, embracing the new, right? Really embracing all of the different ways that life can be experienced, the different ideas that can speak to us, the different connections that can really excite our souls and see us thinking about things in different ways, see us making choices that maybe we wouldn't usually take. One of the things that I will say to you as well this year, you know, cook from a different continent every month, right? So once a month, go out, you know, get like a whole bunch of stuff from a different culture, maybe research that culture, reach out to people from that place in the world and ask them, you know, like, you know, what do you think of this thing that I've cooked? It could be a really fun and really exciting way to do this. I encouraged a lot of people to do that throughout the pandemic because it was another way to connect to the outside world for some people who struggle with isolation and stuff, right? All right, for the lessons, the way these energies combine could make you a little bit more explosive, a little bit more outspoken. I won't say a bit more eccentric, because even though like you guys are quite sort of focused and hardworking and determined and stuff, 8 people tend to be y'all are eccentric, like eccentric ourselves. Like some of you are really out there, really wacky. I mean, I'm an Aquarius, so I love it, but it's not necessarily something that people associate with this number, but it is something that I've observed about 8 people. You can be quite sort of, you know, I think it's great. All right, restless, right? This year and the way these energies combine could make you you could get itchy feet syndrome, I call it. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to quit this job, right? I'm going to move halfway across the world. Remember, it's only going to last a year. So you don't want to burn all of your bridges and, you know, let your whole life go up in smoke for 12 months because eventually you got to come back to reality, right? This could also make you quick-tempered, and it might make you impatient with people, all right? With people, with situations, anything that's not moving at that pace or giving you that rush, you could just be a bit like, okay, you know what, I think we're done here. Try not to, you know, try to give everybody a chance to meet you at your pace. So you get 1 destiny card, 1 direction card per month per sign. And I kind of believe that the first card out of the reading, it kind of sets the tone for the year. It kind of suggests what the year is going to encapsulate for you, like things that you might need to be aware of and stuff. All right, so that card seems to want out, and it is the High Priestess, right? So really interesting. Yes, psychic impressions and all the rest of it, forget that. What this year is really about for you is taking things back to basics, stripping it back to its bare minimum, right? Does it do what it says on the tin? Am I getting what I'm supposed to be getting from this thing, this person, this connection, this relationship, this partnership, this job? Like, wherever it is that things are, like, this is not a year where flourish and, you know, all of that is going to speak to you. Like, I want to know, does it do what it says it's going to do? Does it support me? Does it offer, you know, does it hold up in the day, in the light of day? That is as clear cut as it can be. Now, in terms of January, this could be a time where something is revealed to you. This could be a secret that is told to you. It could be a secret that's shared with you. Now, if that is the case, and I will say this as well, over the course of 2022, don't be surprised if secrets, information that you become privy to that isn't for general sort of consumption. You might find that there are more people confiding in you over this year, and particularly in January. And if that is the case, I would say to you, whatever number you experience, whenever you experience it, unless of course somebody is being harmed, etc., keep people's secrets, right? When people care enough about you or trust you enough to share something that's personal to them, you keep that, right? That's all about integrity, and your number is all about integrity. So maintain that this year. So you got this with the King of Cups. So a Cancerian male may feature for you right out of the gate. So a water sign male, but likely to be a Cancer because you've got the High Priestess. This is, you know, I mean, in a lot of ways, this could for some of you, this could be somebody coming forward and saying, look, you know what, I haven't told you because, you know, any number of reasons. Maybe I'm in a relationship, maybe you're in a relationship, maybe I didn't think you were interested, but I actually have a really big crush on you. This could be somebody that really likes you and has liked you for a while. This it's not just secret admirer energy, it's secret admirer that comes forward, right? So this could be the month where somebody said, you know what, maybe their New Year's resolution is to be more brave or to be more daring or to be more outspoken, and they come to you and say, look, you know what, can I take you out for coffee? I've wanted to date you. You know, I really like you, whatever. Like, it could come very much by surprise. This could also be a time where your earning potential, your pay bracket in some way, shape or form could jump. And the way that I kind of feel this might happen is maybe your boss comes to you and says, look, we're giving you a discretionary pay rise, but unfortunately we don't want you to tell anybody about it, right? This needs to be between you and management. We're doing this because we feel that you deserve it, but obviously if we do this for you, and then everybody's going to kick up and start saying, well, I deserve a raise and all the rest of it. So, you know, this could be that as well. Very, very interesting month. For your February, you have the Faith card. So in this deck, it's called Faith, but this is actually the Hierophant card. For some of you, for a select few of you actually, this could be you getting into, excuse me, a serious relationship. Like, for some of you, this could literally be like, you know, right at the beginning of the year, you could be really getting together with somebody that has a very, my money is on this. For those of you that are single, for those of you that are in that space, I believe that somebody will step forward right out of the gate of the year and will, you know, really maybe pursue you, you know, maybe woo you as well. Like, does anybody woo anymore? I was going to say something then, but probably not the best space. But yeah, you know, there could definitely be that around. For those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments already, this suggests that something about you and your partner, there's something here that you guys have maybe wanted to do that you're moving ahead with, but you're keeping it low key. Maybe this is you're trying for a family after, you know, trying for a family previously and, you know, you haven't managed to get there. So this time you're keeping it to yourselves. Maybe this is, you know, yeah. And so when it comes to the Hierophant card, for those of you that are single, this feels like you might be getting into a very solid relationship, one that, you know, really escalates or develops very quickly. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but just remember it's not a race, right? You've got plenty of time. For on top, look at that, right? This is beautiful for those of you that are partnered already and for those of you that are single. So for those of you that are partnered already, and wanting to try for a family. Specifically speaking to those of you that have wanted to try for a family, but for any number of reasons it hasn't happened, and maybe you'd even got to the point where you'd given up and said, you know, maybe we're not supposed to have kids, and then the pandemic hits and it's like, you know, do we even want kids now that we, you know, that maybe we've ironed out any of the kinks that we had. This suggests to me that not only will it happen, but it will happen very naturally. It will evolve, like, so for those of you that have tried maybe even things like IVF and it's still failed, this suggests to me that it will happen naturally, easily, and you'll just be like, oh my gosh, like this is clearly our time, right? Which is lovely. For those of you that are single, for those of you, I mean, whatever relationship you're getting into between January and February, sorry, I've got a twitchy eye at the bottom and I've had it for the longest time. I've tried everything to get rid of it. It's driving me mad. Fun fact about my body. But yeah, February could be a time where a relationship is aligning. For those of you that have been single for a long time, it really does feel like you're meeting the right person. Now, if you know me, if you've been with me long enough, you know I'm not one of these readers that's, oh, you know, you're meeting your soulmate this week, and it's just not who I am, right? For me to say to you, I feel like you're meeting somebody that could be very special to you, it's not something that I would say lightly, and I really do feel that this is potentially a relationship coming in that could lead to marriage, right? The Ace of Cups on top of the Hierophant card, that's a bonded union, right? And like a traditional commitment as well, like marriage. So I really, really love this for you guys. I really do. For March, you have the Death card, right? So, okay. Endings, completions, culminations. This could be a time where something or someone is wrapping up in your life. And I kind of get the feeling this is going to be a lot more conscious, right? So this could be something that you are choosing to end, something that you're choosing to walk away from or release or to let go of. And it comes up with the Crone card. So, excuse me. In this deck, it's called the Crone, but this is actually the Strength card. That's a very interesting combination, right? So the Strength card is, it's the physical body in one sense, right? And coming up with the Death card, this would be a really good time to, that's really interesting as well, actually, especially after everything that's come up previously. It's just because there's a lot of water here, right? So you've got the High Priestess, water, because it's Cancer ruled. You've got the King of Cups, water. The Ace of Cups, water. Then you've got the Death card, water, because it's Scorpio ruled. There's a lot of water here mixed in with a little bit of earth and air, earth and fire. Now, the reason I say this is interesting is because if we were talking specifically about your body, the Strength card would be the body, and the Scorpio card, if we're talking specifically just about the body, is the reproductive system. So I wonder if some of you are getting a jump start on this. I mean, for me, like I said, I feel like if there's pregnancy happening, it will happen naturally and easily, and it might be, you know, just really quick to evolve, where you're like, oh, okay, this is happening now. On a more sort of, you know, worldly, personal level, for some of you, this could be something that you wanted to present to the world, maybe a speech that you wanted to give, maybe it's a presentation that you had for work or for the, you know, for the office or something. This could be you deciding not to move ahead with something because you don't feel like it's ready. I'm going to call that out and say what you're actually doing is it looks like you have a little bit of imposter syndrome, and so you're going to procrastinate on something. Don't do that, right? Whatever your idea is, it is worthy of expression through you. Don't kill the idea, I think is what I really want to say to you. Now for April, remember this is as we step into, as we get to the end of April, we step into eclipse season. So on the April the 30th, we're going to have the first eclipse of the year, a Taurus solar eclipse. I kind of like this one. I think it's going to be kind of cool. With this, you have the Hanged Man, right? More water. There's a lot of water going on here. So this first sort of 4 months of the year, this is going to be a very emotional time for you guys, right? So if you are a life path 8 person, this first sort of 4 months of the year, very emotional, lots of stuff going on inside you, lots of stuff happen. You know, the High Priestess is very much about the inner realm as well. You might be going through a lot of personal changes that you can't necessarily put into words. You might be experiencing things at a really deep level that, you know, no matter how much you try to explain it, it just doesn't really, you know, sometimes when you just can't find the language for something, like even when you say the words, you're like, you know, this is the closest that I can get to it, but this is not what I mean. This is not what I feel. Do you know what I mean? That makes me laugh. I don't know if any of you have ever read about, there's a thing called cute aggression. You know, like when you see like your nieces and nephews or your like your own children and you're like, oh, you're so cute, I just want to bite you. Like, apparently it's called cute aggression. And that's where it's like you can't find the words to express the cuteness overload that you're having. So you feel the need to bite them or something like that. There's like a whole scientific thing. But anyway, read up on it and maybe that will explain some of what you feel this year. And the reason I say this is because with this many water cards, it does appear there's some really deep shifts. There's some really deep emotional changes that are happening for you. And so to find ways to navigate that, it's going to be important to understand that maybe the words just aren't hitting it. For April, nurture yourself, nourish yourself, really look after yourself. Take some time out around this time as well. I would say for April as well, because we've got that eclipse and you've got the Hanged Man, this could be a time where you have a really powerful spiritual insight into something. Now that wouldn't surprise me because your year started with the High Priestess, which is all about the psychic, the imaginative, the impressionable world, right? She doesn't speak in words, she speaks in feelings and impressions and allegories and metaphors, just like our dream world. The other thing is as well that I hadn't mentioned actually is January, March and April are likely to all be months where your dreams and your dreamscape are just, you know, intense, insane, crazy, wonderful. So as we come into May, on May we've got the second Mercury first Mercury retrograde of the year is January. It will retrograde out of the sign of Aquarius and back into the sign of Capricorn. So I know it's got really dark here, so it's just so overcast. Venus will be retrograde in January right up until the 29th of January. As we come into May, we have the second Mercury retrograde of the year that will come out of Gemini back into the sign of Taurus. And as if that wasn't enough, we've also got a Scorpio lunar eclipse on the 16th of May. So look out for that as well. On top of the Hanged Man, you have the Knight of Swords. Right, so this is going to be a really interesting month for you because April looks like it's going to be a, you know, kind of like that feeling where you're driving with the brakes on, or where you're driving, you know, down the street and you've got the handbrake on and you're like, something doesn't feel quite right here. What's going on? This could be that month for you. All right. So just keep that as a consideration. You've got the Hanged Man on top of the Knight of Swords on top of the Hanged Man. So I was saying this could be a time where you're gaining some sort of really deep spiritual insight. My advice to you would be think about what you want to share and with who. Not all insights that we have, not all understandings that we come into are for everybody. Sometimes people aren't necessarily ready to hear whatever it is that we have to say, right? So this is just something that I want you to keep as a consideration. So as we come into May, we've got the second eclipse on the 16th of May. It's a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. On top of that, you've got Mercury, which is going to be retrograde out of the sign of Gemini and into the sign of Taurus, right? So crossing that border again from the air signs into the earth signs. On top of that, or should I say with that, you have the Empress card, right? So this is nice actually, because you've got the kind of like a Taurus energy in the space of Taurus, right? So this kind of works. What it also suggests as well is May is going to be a very fruitful month. This could be a very prosperous time where maybe some spontaneous prosperity or money shows up for you. Could just as easily be a time where you're really enjoying life on the material plane, where you're really enjoying life on that sensual level that I talked about. I really like this for you, actually. And you've got this with the Temperance card, right? So,
sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Mind your business, Siri, is what I said. Jeez. You see, I've had a lot of really weird experiences in my life, so I'm quite jumpy when I hear voices come out of nowhere. Oh, awkward. Anyway, I'm leaving it in because I'm sure that will be hilarious for you guys. May, Temperance card with the Empress. This is a very nice energy, right? And what I really like about this Temperance card for you, this could be a time where things are really starting to balance out, where things are really starting to go very smooth for you, right? So whatever challenges or issues might arise for you in March, maybe that carry over into April, May is just a much smoother time. And it's interesting as well, because I know that for a lot of people it's been the other way round, right? This just means that you're enjoying this time. The other thing with that Temperance card, this could be a powerful point of manifestation, right? May could be a time where you really do manifest something miraculous, or, you know, something that's miraculous to you on the material level, on that financial level. With the Empress card there as well, this could be some, like, because it's with the Temperance card, which sometimes can be when we get sucked into things. So I just want you to be very conscious of gossip around May, right? So don't allow yourself to get sucked into or bought into things that, if you do too much hearsay, you know, he said, she said, or you try to get involved with stuff, it might get blown out of proportion. So just be careful with that. Outside of that though, I think May is a really beautiful month. It also feels like a month where you're starting to make sense of a lot of stuff, where things are actually starting to, you're like, oh, okay, this is what this means. Or like you're getting a really strong or a much more settled handle on what's going on for you. For June, you have the Tree of Life. I love this card. So what this card usually says to me is divine intervention and assistance, right? So this is something that could be, this could be something fated. It could be something karmic that shows up for you at this moment in time, but usually something, something destined. And this shows up with the Page of Pentacles, right? So you've got the Page of Pentacles. The Empress card is very close. So Taurus season in general is going to be a great time for you. For me though, it's June, right? So far out of all of these cards, I mean, I actually really like January and February, but so far out of all of these, even I really like May as well. June is your, excuse me, June is your power month, right? So far out of all of these months, this is the one that really, it has real weight, it has real potential. For some of you, this could not only be new endeavors, this could be you, for some of you, maybe you're starting a business. For some of you, you're stumbling into a new job or a new position within the job that you already have. And that feels quite, it feels quite aligned, because remember the Page of Pentacles can also be aligned to whatever your purpose is now. And the reason I say what your purpose is now is because when people ask me that question, like, oh, you know, I want to discover my purpose, I tried to say to them, you have more than one purpose in life, right? It's not just that, oh, well, you know, I've discovered this, that's my purpose, and that's it then. I guess I'm over the hill and, you know, I get chucked on the scrap heap of life. No, of course not. You're going to have multiple purposes over the course of a lifetime, and they're going to change as, you know, as you change, as you evolve. But this really does feel like you're aligning with something that feels like your purpose now. It could also be where some sort of new job, new work, new resources, new revenue stream shows up for you or becomes very prominent from here on in. For July, you have the World card. So the World card has been very active for June and July, and I've been swapping between my decks. So what this tells me is that there is likely to be something taking place on the wider world stage. For you personally, this could be a point at which you master something. And for some of you as well, whatever new thing you're stepping into in June, you already expect kind of like you literally go to that mastery level very, very quickly. I like that for you. I actually really like that, because it's like, and you know, when we're really good at something instantaneously, or we make something look easy, it's likely because we've done it a lot before in a previous life, or you know, everything that we've done up until this point has fed into us becoming really good at something really quickly. And I mean, I believe that. When I was younger, like I read playing cards, you know, I read rune stones. I was, you know, into all of these like weird and wonderful things as they were kind of experienced at that point in time. And they all fed directly into what I do now, right? So you might come to a point here in July where you're like, wow, everything that I've done up until now has just been preparing me for this, right? Has just been, you know, taking me towards this thing that I'm supposed to do or supposed to be. So, you know, that could be really nice. It comes up with the Sun card, right? So July is very likely to be the month of travel for you. If you are traveling over the course of this year, my money is probably, I would say February, definitely a point of travel. May, likely to be a point of travel. If you are traveling around the eclipse, just be careful. But July, right? July looks like a gorgeous month. This is really not only being really good at something very quickly, but mastering it and being seen to master it, right? So this could be where you're getting some really great praise at work, maybe through your studies or something that you do that just comes really easy, and it's like it presents in that way, right? You do this with absolute finesse and it just shows like, wow, you know what, you're really good at this. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I know somebody complained recently about my yawning, and it's insane. Like, it only happens at certain points as well, so I really do apologize. The other thing that I really like about this for you in July, because it's the Sun card, right? So, and the Sun, it's not just light, heat, vitality, but it's also joy and blessings. And these are likely to be joy and blessings that come through a community or a new community in some way, shape or form. For August, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So July and August look like travel months for you as well, potential. You've got the Wheel of Fortune next to the Sun card. That bodes very, very well for you. So July and August, kick back, take a beat, enjoy the time that you have. You got this with the Seven of Swords, right? So here's the thing, there is a challenge here that we do need to talk about. The Seven of Swords can be lies, it can be deceit, but it falls next to the Sun and it falls right on top of the Wheel of Fortune. One of the things that really speaks to me very clearly here is this could be where somebody has lied on you, somebody has lied to you, maybe somebody has tried to slander your name or your business. Whoever this person is, and I hate people that do this because it's such a cowardly way to be. I have nothing but detest for that kind of energy. You know, when people will do stuff behind the scenes, like they don't want to be seen like a bad person, or that, you know, they'll badmouth you, they'll steal your work, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I'm just not here for that kind of energy or that kind of person. This feels like it could be something of that nature, but here's the rub. You've got the Sun card and you've got the Wheel of Fortune. This person is going to fall on their own sword. It's like whatever it is, whoever it is, it will be revealed, and it will be revealed in a way that makes you go like, oh my gosh, you know, if I hadn't been there that day, I never would have heard you. If, you know, I hadn't been 4 people behind you in the queue while I heard you bad mouthing me on the phone, or, you know, with the World card underneath the Sun card, this could be somebody in your network, in your community, maybe a sibling, maybe a friend, maybe a colleague. you know, overhears somebody having a conversation and that happens to be about you and it makes its way back to you. It's like whatever is said about you, or, you know, wherever it is that somebody kind of tries to defile you or your name or whatever, you will find out about it, and it will be in like the weirdest sort of roundabout way where you're just like, whoa, okay, that's insane. So the universe is definitely looking out for you. All right. For September, third and final Mercury retrograde in the sign of Libra, coming back into the sign of Virgo. You've got the Fool card. New things, new places, new people, new energies. I love the Fool card just because it's, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's the most powerful card, right? It's pure potential. It's all things and no things all at once. I talk at length in the Fool card on my tarot course, which I will be doing the last one of for a while because I've got other things coming through in March of 2022. So stay peeled. You've got the Fool card with the Page of Cups. This is really good news about one of your own projects, something that's very dear to you that you've maybe tried to get off the ground. For those of you that are starting businesses or hoping to launch something into the world, it looks like you're doing this in September. And to be honest with you, even with that Mercury retrograde, it looks like you're completely unfazed. This might also be a time where something is initiated for you, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're working on a website with a web designer and you're like, right, it's done, you know, like, so on this day we're going to push the button and it will go live, and they accidentally push the button and it goes live straight away and you just start getting bookings. Or maybe a friend, you know, reads your book and, you know, they take a copy of the proposal, the manuscript, and they just send it to a publishing house, and, you know, you get a letter back saying, we love it, we want to move ahead with it. There's something here where I kind of get this feeling something is being launched on your behalf out of your control. And it's kind of like you wanted to do this anyway. Maybe you didn't have the courage, maybe you didn't have the time, maybe you didn't think you had the, you know, a good enough project or idea or whatever, but it is good enough, and it's like it's launched for you and it does really well. And it's like, because it happens sort of out of your control, it takes the pressure off of you in some way. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, this is happening, and that's actually kind of cool. So October, we have the second eclipse season beginning on the 25th of October. We do have a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio on the 25th of October. And for that, you have the Sun card, right? So one of the few signs, one of the few life path numbers to get a double hit of the Sun card energy, and they're in relatively close proximity. So this could be quite nice for you. October looks like it's going to be a great month. Now, what I have said to anybody that has the Sun card in this position, I don't usually condone or sort of advise people to use eclipse energy to set intentions and stuff, but you've got the Sun card, which basically says you have to work really hard to screw up the Sun. You know, you would have to actively be trying your absolute damned hardest, and even then it might not. Do you know what I mean? It might just be a detour of some sort. You've got this with the Eight of Swords. This is a new contract, possibly off the back of something that maybe you hadn't planned to launch. Maybe, I don't know, you help a friend with something and you're saying like, oh, you know, I thought I wanted to be a coach and da-da-da. You help a friend with someone, and before you know it, they come back and say, look, I've got 4 people that want you to coach them. And you're like, well, blah, blah, blah. This is happening now. This could be a contract. It could be an interview. It could be, for some of you, this could be a big interview as well. So this could be either a job interview that for a job that you know absolutely changes your world. Might be as well that somebody puts your name in the hat for a position that you wanted but wouldn't have the guts to apply for, and then in October it starts to come good. Another way this could show up for you as well is October could be a month where you're almost like your outlook is changing, but not in like a hard, oh, I need to change my mind, and it's like you just have this brilliance of thought. You could be having some really great ideas in October as well. Like, keep your mind, you know, pay attention to the ideas that come up, because some of them might be very fleeting, but they could also be very, you know, very worthwhile. As we come into November, so whatever's initiated around April will start to culminate, complete, or express its gifts in November. November the 8th, we do have a Taurus lunar eclipse. So this is going to be the bookend of the eclipse season and the bookend of the year as well. So a big moment. And this comes up with the Chariot card, right? So isn't that interesting? You've got the Chariot card, but you also had the Knight of Swords. So I'm going to say this to you. Whatever you appear to be taking a bit of a gamble on in April, it does seem to pay off for you, all right? So even, you know, I'm saying maybe slow down or take your time with it. Whatever it is that you charge or leap into, it looks like it comes good for you, right? Because you've got the Chariot card. Yes, victory, success, all the rest of it. But it also looks like in the process of this happening, you learn something really deep or profound about yourself. And it comes up with the Fool card. I mean, I told you this would be, this is going to be a big year of change for everybody, but I think there are certain numbers who really have big changes taking place for them. I think it was life path 2s, life path 3s, you know, yourselves, life path 8. There's definitely big changes afoot for you guys. November, I mean, this is, for some of you, this could be a move. There we go again. For some of you, this could be a move. For some of you, this could be a move in relation to a job. For some of you, this could be a move in relation to a partnership, in relation to a relationship. Maybe you and your partner around this time decide, you know what, it's time to move in together. And what I find really interesting here as well is this suggests if you are moving in together, you won't be moving into their place, they won't be moving into yours. You'll both be moving into a new place together. For those of you that are partnered, married, or already in long-term commitments and already living together, this could literally just be you guys deciding around October, November, we're ready, it's time to go to wherever we're supposed to be next and whatever adventures await for us there. There could be some form of spontaneous travel that shows up for you in October. It looks like there's a lot of travel on your cards this year. I have to say, like, there's a lot of it because, like I said, February, April could be a time as well. May, quite possibly. July is definitely a month of travel. August could also be a month of travel. October is definitely travel, and it's likely that the November could have an element of this as well. But the travel that comes up in November could be kind of like, you know, like you weren't planning it. It's like it just has to happen. And then for December, you have the Emperor card, right? So getting real, digging in, right? Starting to show up or be about something. A boss could feature, a father could feature, or a husband. And this comes up with the Wheel of Fortune. So we've seen this card for you before in August, right? Even though there's no justice card here, December feels like a moment where you are getting justice for something, right? Something that you've waited for, maybe something that you thought, you know what, I'm not going to let it go. I'm just going to let it up to the universe and see how it's dealt with or whatever. This could be a moment where not only some of your good karma comes back to you, but where somebody else's karma for trying to do you a wrong or having done you a wrong shows up for them. On a more personal level than that, I would say that this could be a time where not only is your environment changing, which we saw there in November, this could be a time where you're settling into a new space and it just feels like you've landed in the right space. Like this is where you're supposed to be. Your key to the year is the gate 3 and begin, right? And what this card actually talks about is, you see how the seed has cracked open, it's cracking through the thing and it's, you know, starting to sprout this thing. It talks about difficult beginnings, right? Difficult changes that lead to brand new beginnings. Here's where this gets really interesting. You've got the Ace of Cups, that's a beginning. You've got the Page, those tend to be similar to aces, beginnings. You've got the Sun card, which is all about new things as well. You've got the Fool card, you've got the Fool card, you've got the Ace of Swords. Like, this really is going to be a year of beginnings for you, right? So your challenge months, March, possibly April, are going to be challenge months. August looks like it's going to be a challenging month. And I think August is challenging because when you realize who the person is that's tried to do you a wrong or that's tried to slander your name, etc., that might be the part of it that's really kind of challenging, because it's like, wow, never expected that from you. Your power months, January, February, love those. May is a power month. June is a power month. July is a power month. September and August and October, power months. Even November, really, as well. I'm gonna say December is neutral, even though it's a nice energy. It just kind of feels like it's quite up in the air. All right, all in all, not a bad year at all. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff for the year ahead. I truly hope that you have an amazing 2022 and that it is your best year yet. If you haven't got your astrological sign reading, you can get that on the link in the description box below. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.